You know, I've just come back from my recent vacation, a couple of months of detox, no paddock talk, just me and some overpriced matcha, and I'm already sick to my stomach, because all I've been hearing since I came back is about the same damn things on the F1 radio. McLaren's got two dogs in the title fight, and we're all just patiently waiting to see which one of them is going to eat the other before the summer break. Maxi's kind of on the back foot these days, throwing fists at the wind. You know, engineers, strategy team, his ever-changing teammates, the pit wall, even the catering staff are probably getting some these days. His demons are really peaking out nowadays, eh? And Ferrari... Oh, fuck me gently. I'm not even touching that can of emotional spaghetti right now. But while everyone's obsessing over the big three, there's something else lurking in plain sight. A lad no one really talks about. Unless he's in it with the sloth again. Lanky lamppost Russell, everybody. That's how I know. He's having a decent season, yeah? Always floating near the top, sharp haircut, those beady eyes locked on the podium. But if we're being honest here, and when am I not? He's just not there. He's missing something. That dog in him. You know? And yeah, the car's a bit mid. I get that. But even if Mercedes dropped a rocket ship under his ass tomorrow, I still don't think Georgie would bring the trophy home. But, okay, enough foreplay. Here is why I have a problem with George Russell. Let's take it from the top. Let's start with qualifying. And right from the lights out, Georgie's got a bit of a limp. He's fast, sometimes. Sharp laps here and there, but no poles. Not a single one this season. Which is fine. You don't need a pole every weekend to be a top driver. P2, P3 in a Mercedes, in this economy, fucking stellar. Get it? Get it? You get it? Andrea Stella. I'm fucking hilarious. But he's not consistent. 1 week he's up there in P2. Next week he's chilling in P14 like he's on a track there with your nan. Okay, fine. That was a DNF in Monaco. Sure, write that off, why don't you? But P5 in Miami, P4 in Barca, P5 in Japan, and P4 in Australia. I mean, Kimi Antonelli hasn't even got a driver's license yet, and he's already flirting with the top 5. Okay, it's not terrible, of course. I mean, he's no Perez, don't get me wrong. But I don't really hate him to be comparing him to the bottom of the garbage pit now, do I? And the story very much continues when it comes to the race itself. In the leaderboard, he's right up there after the main championship contenders. So you'd think, good job, mate. Like, props. Props keeping up with the Holy Trinity. You almost made it there, but not quite. And it's not exactly neck and neck. Well, after a little kerfuffle with Maxi last week, he is quite close to him now, actually. But other than that, there's a pretty big gap from the top 3. And while he is the rest of the upper middle class of the field, he's not really there with the rest of the lads at the top. He's, again, had great results, 4 podiums. At the end of the day, solid stuff considering what he's up against. But it's been more often than not the other contenders' losses that he had capitalized on. And luckily for him, Ferrari gives them plenty of those, believe me. He's been solid, Credit where it's due. He's good. He's an alright lad. He's the F1 equivalent of a mate who says he pulls 10s, but the only thing he pulled was a muscle trying to convince a blind girl he was Lando Norris with a trust fund and a chin. Now, with the Grand Pumbaa on his final farewell tour through Italy's vineyards, there's a vacuum at Mercedes. A big, shiny, Toto-approved leadership position right there for the taking. And since his teammate still gets picked up from school by Toto, the door is wide open for Georgie. But he just, hasn't stepped up in the way that he needed to. You can hear it directly from his comms in the race. Like, A, he still whines like he's a 3-year-old, overprivileged little toddler when things don't immediately go his way. I think I know exactly where he's learnt that from. And B, he just doesn't take the initiative mid-game. Like, seriously, when shit hits the fan mid-race, Russell either panics or just fucking disappears altogether. And yes, to be fair, he's had some moments, but there's not enough presence. There's just none, No f*** it, we do this my way vibe anymore. And Mercedes need that right now. So much so that they've called Bottas back for development work. Bottas. Mate. Man's one kombucha away from a full midlife crisis, and they're begging him to develop the team. They've got to be fucking desperate now. Jesus. Now, look, this season's not been easy. Mercedes is still recovering from quite a few crucifying years of sucking the exhaust pipe of the new front runners, and this year, Merc is still in the shadow of the mighty orange. The car's alright, but when McLaren's flying, and Max is, well, still Max, your ceiling's pretty fucking low. And this year, McLaren is so far ahead, even Maxi's starting to exhibit the same manic behavior he showed before he became a world champion. To be honest, I think he was always just a mad lunatic, but before it was masked by the fact that he had a car capable of doing 5/10 about the rest of the class. And with this, Russell's made the most of what he's got. And some of those podiums were genuinely earned. I'll give him that. And he's clearly not dead weight. He's not dragging the team down. He's a great driver. But not great enough. He's not embarrassing. He's not useless. But he's not him, you know? He's not the main character. He's just a solid, alright lad. Of course, Maxi would disagree with me on that one, but you don't go to psych ward to ask for advice now, do you? This fucking fan, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm sorry if you have background noise because it's fucking hot as balls in my room and I have a fan running and it's just shoving moderately hot air in my face 24/7. I can't live otherwise, I'm sorry. And I also have the windows wide open, so you probably hear a bunch of fucking traffic. Because I'm apparently living in the middle of fucking Mumbai, the way that it sounds outside. Anyways, one quick thing that I wanted to also say. I don't want this to be interpreted as a complete hate video. I do not hate the lad. In fact, I am what I believe to be one of the guys that actually like him, you know, more than average. I think I'm a George Russell fan. No, I'm not, am I? I think I'm more of a fan of George Russell than the average F1 consumer, alright? So, I think I'm actually saying this from a pretty solid moral high ground right now. I'm also very humble if you haven't noticed. But, yeah, I really don't want this to be interpreted as a hate video. It is not. I think it's an honest, or as honest as I can be, rational perspective on the lad. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of spunk in him. I mean, we've heard him plenty of times on the radio in the past few races, and he's seemingly the only person that's actually trying to stand up to Max. He does usually just look like the lanky nerd type trying to stand up to the bully, but actually pretty much embarrassing himself every time he opens his mouth. But nevertheless, I think he's doing a great effort. It's just, you know, he's not him, you know. I think he's a clean driver, gives great interviews, decent jawline. But if you're Mercedes and you're thinking this lad's your next champion, you either get him to grow some proper balls in the next couple months, or you better start calling around McLaren and asking how much they want for the Aussie one. Anyways, and with that bombshell of an ending, peace out, you miserable pricks. I'll see you next week. Maybe. If I don't go off again on another fucking bender. In that case, see you in 2 months. Bye.